It's great to be here. Thank you for having me. And I'm Freeke Heijman, founding director of Quantum Delta Netherlands, which is a non-for-profit foundation that runs the national initiative in the Netherlands. And this is a picture of us in April in the midst of the COVID pandemic, and we had a party because we got our full proposal that we wrote during the lockdown, we got funded from the government. And I'm here today to tell you a bit what that initiative encompasses, I think. So the things I'm going to talk about is the structure of the program and the goals of the program. And I will highlight two elements of the program to dive a bit more deep into that. The quantum networks and the ecosystem development. And actually that is what I'm working on mostly. So this is the structure of the program, the ball you see on the left. And we call it a holistic program because the emphasis is on scaling the ecosystem as a whole. So it's about 4 action lines. In the middle, it's about research and innovation. So we fund science projects. And then from the middle going outside, it goes more into the society. So action line 2 is about ecosystem development, building new startups, getting end users engaged in the ecosystem. And action line 3 is about education, so training the workforce that we need for this technology. And action line 4, and I think this is really important, we call it ELSA, ethical, legal and societal aspects of quantum technologies, to really at the start, because we're still in early days, get the society to come along with the development. And on the bottom you see clean room infrastructure. So we are having a big chunk of money investing in the public infrastructure that we have that can be used by both academics and by companies in the Netherlands. And on the right you see a few, these are not all, but the key performance indicators of the program. So what is shown here is that it's really about the ecosystem. So it's about number of graduates per year, for instance. And now we're at 500 a year, and we really want to scale it at the end of the program to 2,500, and then on the long term even to 5,000. So really the essence of the program is scaling the ecosystem and getting the technology out of the labs into society. Oh, this doesn't work. So these are the budgets. So it's a total amount of 615 million that we got. And for a country like the Netherlands, that's really a big chunk of money. So that's why we had the champagne in April. And it's for 7 years. So we started last year with a start of 20 million. This year we get 54 million. So there are actually 3 phases that this budget is going to be released with a midterm review in 2024. And all of these budgets are divided over these components that you saw in the circle that showed the structure of the program. So the first 3 things are the tech demonstrators. So there's a lot of emphasis on developing quantum computing demonstrators and bring them out for educational purposes. The same is for the quantum internet, and I'll tell you a bit more about that. And the other is quantum sensors. We have 4 tech demonstrators for quantum sensors. So, for instance, this graph shows 86 million is going into the quantum computing demonstrator. And then you have all these action lines that I was talking about. And there's a big chunk of money, 143 million and 94 million going into infrastructures, national clean rooms and buildings for campus development. I'll talk a bit about that as well. 5% is overhead, and that means it's the organization. So it's a foundation, I'm in it, Ulrich Mans, who's taking pictures, is in it, and probably, yeah. And so we're scaling the team as well to manage this. So then a few things on this quantum internet. The last time I was here 2 years ago, I talked about quantum computing and the qubit types the Netherlands is working on, germanium, spin qubits, etc. So I thought now let's talk a bit about the quantum internet. And in essence, we focus on 3 layers. So one of the highlights we had last year is a 3-node quantum entanglement-based network. So this is really in the R&D phase, and it's a demonstration that you can have an entanglement-based network. So it was shown in the Delft lab already that there was a point-to-point link possible, and now in the lab, so as you can see, it's only 30 meters and 2 meters distance, it was shown a 3-node network. And the goal is to, at the end of the program, have 3 cities in the Netherlands linked with this entanglement-based network. Second highlight, and that's a bit closer to market, the QKD, but not the QKD as it is already on the market, but MDI QKD. So that's the next generation QKD that also is going beyond point-to-point, but having networks as well. And it's more secure than regular QKD because the central node doesn't have to be a trusted node. So we had a demonstration of that in July. And the last highlight, and that's also the third layer of what we do with the quantum internet, is to get these networks accessible for programming and experimenting. And so this is a stack that was a software stack, a compiler that you can access now. Like you can also experiment with quantum computers, you can also experiment with quantum networks from now on. Okay, then something about my topic, ecosystem development. It's called Action Line 2. And it's good to be aware that Quantum Delta, which is the name of our foundation, I have to see if this works because it should animate, yeah. Delta stands for the 5 hubs in the ecosystem that we have. So the D is for Delft, which is sort of our biggest hub ecosystem with the University of Delft and TNO, several startups, I will talk about them a bit more, and also labs of Microsoft present at the university, and Blueforce and Intel. So that's the D. And then we go to the E, and E stands for Eindhoven, which is also a hub. Eindhoven is the hometown of ASML, which you probably all know, Philips, the university, and also there we have a few startup companies, Smart Photonics, yes, Thermo Fisher is there as well. The L stands for Leiden. There's a strong effort on application development there with Aqua. There's end-user engagements with Google, with Shell, with Volkswagen. Janssen is there as well, so there's a link with the biomedic industry. And then the T is for Twente, and there the universities as well, and there's a startup, Quix, working on photonic quantum computing. And then last but definitely not least, Amsterdam, where QSoft is based, Institute on Quantum Software and Algorithms. A lot of work there, and for instance also Q&Co is there, our startup that just won the challenge of BMW and AWS. So that's these are the hubs. And another very important aspect of building this ecosystem is the startup support. So that's used to be called Lightspeed, but we're rebranding it to Infinity, and that's supporting the startups to grow and scale fast. So there's an incubator. We have safe tickets. That's tickets that we can 50,000 euros give for very early stage ideas coming from university. And we're also setting up a seed fund of 20 million of government funding, looking to double that with private funding to really can invest in the startups that comes from here. Other things we do in this field is an IP strategy. So we developed an IP strategy, how to make sure that the startups don't have issues with the IP arrangements they make with the universities. And we do SME calls, which is 5 million per year for projects of SME companies for innovation. So the startups that we have, a few of them are listed here, and they're also at this conference, so hope you talk to them. Orange Quantum Systems, Q-Blocks, Delft Circuits, and I think what's special about these startups is that they really have decided to focus on a particular aspect of the stack. So unlike, for instance, IQM in Finland that says we're building the complete thing, here there's a focus on picking a part of the stack and focusing on that and working together in a consortium to build it. So they're here in the room, so if anyone has questions, you can approach them. So then something about the national campus development. As I said, there's a big chunk of money going into these clean rooms and buildings. We're building 7 new buildings, which is 500,000 square feet, and it's for labs, it's for clean rooms, and it's for office space. And the first building was already opened in November, or at least we had a housewarming, with a meeting we had with QEDC and Denmark. I see Peter sitting here, to build this trusted community. And that's also very important in this national campus development, that we want to build these facilities to facilitate the ecosystem. So it's not a building for one university, or it's not a building for one startup company. It's a building that combines all these aspects, and everybody can come there and feel at home. So these are the principles, so to say. So we're building these 7 facilities with this concept in mind. There's public aspects of it, where we have these demonstrators, these CAD programs that can be shown to the public and to experiments. They're shared facilities, because for a lot of startups, it's too expensive to buy, for instance, a microscope or something purely for themselves, so you can share that. These are in the semi-public places, and then there's a private part of the buildings where people can really have their own space and build IP for themselves. And what's interesting is that we also would like to connect this internationally. So, for instance, in France, they're also building La Maison du Quantique, and the idea is if you are a member of that House of Quantum, you can also become a member of our House of Quantum. So that is something I would really like to emphasize as well. International collaboration is key. So this is a sort of a Dutch initiative, but also in France there's initiative. In Germany there's initiative. Our friends in the Nordics have their initiatives. Of course, Celia has a great initiative, and we are really there to connect these initiatives, because quantum should be a global game. So this is word cloud, because we're thinking of a name for this national campus. So there's a challenge going on to find a new name. So if anyone has a nice idea for that, just let us know. So I think with that,
Where would you submit the name? Where would you submit it?
Yeah, you can go to our website. It's Quantum Delta NL. You can submit it. There, nice ideas. Open for debate. So that's sort of the end of my talk. If anyone has questions, I think we'll go into the panel later.
There's a question in the back.
Thanks a lot for the talk. One question on one of your first slides. You had the numbers for the number of startups, right? And your the ambition for going to 100 by 2027, I guess it was. Is that only within the Netherlands that you're expecting to create 100 startups around quantum?
Yes. It's only in the Netherlands, so that shows the ambition of this program. So yeah, that's one of our main key performance indicators. And here it says there's 7 in 2020. We're already at 13 at the moment, and these are out in public. There's also a big group that's in stealth now, so initiatives that are sort of under the radar. So yeah, we have a lot of work to do. And it's startups coming from the universities and inside, but it's also attracting startups from other places. So if you have a startup or you want to start a startup and you're interested to be part of this ecosystem, you're also welcome to reach out to us.
Please put your slide back with your, thank you. The
Sorry?
last slide. You
Oh.
have the last slide. Can you please put it back up?
Yes, definitely.
Thank you, Freeke. And we'll ask to hold any other questions for the panel.